In 2021, Barcelona didn't just lose Messi, they lost certainty. For years, every crisis in the club had one answer: give him the ball and see magic. After he left, that answer vanished, and so did the belief. However, football is such a cyclical game, and sometimes greatness returns from unexpected places. Fast forward 2 years to 2023, and 15-year-old Lamine Yamal debuts for Barcelona, a La Masia prodigy who sees the game in different creative layers. Fast forward another 2 years, and he's not just playing, he's breaking records, leading presses, and bending tactics to his will. When others chase highlights, he's solving systems. In this video, we're breaking down how Yamal became Barcelona's tactical heartbeat and why even elite managers can't figure out how to stop him. Let's ask the big questions first. Was he made in a lab? Lamine Yamal isn't just a prodigy anymore, he's a tactical enigma. What separates him from other talents is his ability to solve problems and his uncanny understanding of positional play, which is a core principle of Barca's philosophy, or Barca's DNA. At just 17, he behaves like a seasoned orchestra in a system built on spatial manipulation. When Xavi promoted a 15-year-old kid from La Masia, it wasn't only for the flair. He saw the functions Lamine was offering at the Barca Academy. He already grasped the tactical principles senior players were still initializing. He doesn't move just to receive, he moves to create a domino effect. This means that if a fullback presses him wide, he knows that leaves a channel behind. If a pivot closes him down, he immediately lays off and spins behind to exploit the space vacated. With the dribbling skills and speed he has, he punishes those spaces really well. So, his game thrives on timing and third-man combinations. Don't get overwhelmed with managerial terms though. Third-man combinations are meant to create numerical superiority in tight spaces with fluid football. Watch him play in triangles with Pedri and Kounde, or sometimes with Dani Olmo and Fermin. His layoffs are crisp, and his awareness of when to pass versus when to accelerate is what coaches crave. Tactically, he's what you'd call a connector-creator hybrid, who is capable of linking midfield to the final third, and then becoming the final action threat himself. He's not like those AI-generated wingers who only receive the ball and back pass it, or who can't even dribble past a single fullback. What is more extraordinary in all this is his scanning frequency. He checks over his shoulder every 2 to 3 seconds to adjust his body shape before receiving the ball. That allows him to turn under pressure, split lines, or absorb contact and draw fouls. This is learned behavior, especially if you're playing at Barcelona, but he executes it at such a speed that mirrors elite-level decision-makers like Iniesta or Lionel Messi. Defensively, he contributes far more than expected. In Barca's high press, Lamine angles his runs to force passes wide, trapping opposition fullbacks. Those defensive performances against Real Madrid and Inter are extremely underrated, and very few people can analyze them. Because of the speed of a teenager, he adapts to delayed pressing to allow Lewandowski or Varane to close the middle before pouncing on a lateral pass. Most young attackers are unpredictable, but chaotic. Lamine is unpredictable, but controlled. He plays with the spontaneity of a street footballer and the discipline of a tactical analyst. That's what Xavi saw in him at 15. He saw a system operator with the tools to unlock modern football's tightest defenses. Let's take a look at his best games this season. After winning the Euro last year, we all knew that this season we were going to see something special from Yamal. The boy, well, he didn't disappoint football lovers at all. It was a masterclass in game-to-game evolution. With an average rating of 7.71 in the last 12 months, his performance forms a progression arc that shows a player developing layers to his game at a terrifying rate. We would obviously come at the magic he produced against Inter, but before that, these were his best games of the season. Barcelona vs Real Sociedad, March 2nd, 2025. We saw the playmaker. He didn't score, but he dictated the entire right side. Sociedad attempted a high press using a 4-1-4-1 shape, which Yamal dismantled by drifting into the half space and connecting with interior midfielders. His expected threat was the highest in the match. Every touch had intention: attract, offload, then accelerate past the defense. The line of Pedri, Olmo, Rafinha and Yamal had so much fun that day behind Lewandowski, where Yamal was the main creator. Against Real Betis on January 16, 2025, he showcased his versatility. Betis used a high man-marking scheme, trying to suffocate Barca's build-up. However, they didn't realize they played in Blaugrana's hands. This is what Lamine wants, by exploiting the space behind defenders. He adapted by becoming a press-resistant outlet, dropping more than usual, and dragging defenders out of shape. Barca, well, they thrashed Betis 5-1, and Yamal scored along with multiple assists. If you want to show someone the creative chaos of Yamal, show them the game against Betis in the Copa del Rey round of 16. However, the crown jewel was the Girona match on September 15, 2024. It was Barca's first tough game after enjoying a dream start in the Liga. Girona dismantled Xavi's team, home and away last season, and it was the game to remember those bruises. So, Yamal responded with a 9.4 SofaScore rating. Girona had prepared him with a narrow low block, but he constantly bent around it and single-handedly shredded a well-organized defensive unit. The way he cut and suffocated the goalkeeper for the first goal is the same underrated defensive skill we talked about in the previous section. His second goal came from a similar movement, and Barca completed their revenge with 4-1. Each of these games show a different tactical role of controller, breaker and assassin. This is how he solves many problems for Hansi Flick. That's why defenders and coaches can't find a consistent formula to contain him. But what's the role of Kounde in his game? Is this the new Messi-Alves dynamic? With all due appreciation of Yamal, we need to know about the system he plays in, and to fully appreciate his impact, you need to look at who's behind him. That's Jules Kounde, a right-back not by nature, but by tactical necessity. When Kounde plays that role, Yamal's game elevates. It's not just chemistry, it's choreography. Their movements are so synchronized that they often seem pre-planned, and almost like set-piece sequences unfolding in open play. This connection strongly echoes the iconic Messi-Alves partnership. Dani Alves always played more than a fullback. He was Messi's launchpad. Alves provided Messi time, space and rhythm. He used to make those overlapping runs to receive the ball and to distort defensive shapes. So, when these two were on song with their 1-2s, they broke entire mid-blocks and low blocks. They used to understand angles and timing, like jazz musicians improvising in perfect sync. Alves gave Messi the freedom to roam, and Messi gave Alves the cue to attack. Now it's Yamal and Kounde. Kounde's ability to invert or overlap, depending on the game state, gives Yamal choices. Against low-block teams who sit back and defend, Kounde pushes high and draws one defender out. This lets Yamal cut inside on his stronger left foot. Against pressing sides, Kounde stays deeper, offering a short passing option, and allows Yamal to stay high for direct counters. On top of this, when Pedri gets involved with them, the entire flank becomes super threatening. This trio, they often score or assist at will, while freeing Rafinha and Lewandowski. However, when Kounde is unavailable or plays centre-back, the difference is stark. Probably that's why he's played the most minutes for Barcelona in La Liga this season. Without him, Yamal often gets paired with Eric Garcia, Hector Fort, or Ronald Araujo. All these lack the same spatial creativity and synchronization. They either overlap too predictably, inviting double teams, or don't support enough. So that forces Yamal to carry the build-up burden alone. That cut his creativity in half. You can see it statistically as well. In games without Kounde at right back, Yamal touches in the final third dropped by nearly 25%. His progressive carries and successful dribbles, they also decline, not due to form, but due to structural isolation. This shows the role of the system and sharp managers in the game. The reason why Hansi Flick is so successful with Barcelona in his very first season is his genius ability to see the potential of a player. Many players who were struggling last season are the main creators under Hansi Flick. This multiplying effect, it happened with Yamal as well. Flick provided him with the system that best suited him. We can't not talk about the magic against Inter, the night Lamine charged everyone. There are games that define players, and then there are games that define eras. On that cold night at the Olympic Stadium, Barcelona were in freefall. 2 goals down to Inter Milan in under 22 minutes of a Champions League Semi-Final. Despite playing well, Inter caught them on set pieces and landed a probable knockout punch. The crowd was stunned into silence, and the past horrors of the Champions League were in front of the eyes of every Blaugrana fan. However, right when it seemed like the game, and perhaps the season, was slipping away, they saw that their team refused to give up. They all became fire instead of fear, and the leader of this exercising fire was a 17-year-old Lamine Yamal. 3 minutes after Inter's second goal, he picked up the ball right near the edge of the box. It wasn't a clean break. There was no numerical advantage. It was just him, with Pedri shadowing the space to his left and Kounde offering a decoy run on the outside. But Yamal didn't need them. He cut on his left, dribbled his marker, and while surrounded by 5 players, curled a shot around Sommer into the far right corner. The goal was more than a turning point. It was a psychological reset. Barcelona's heads were lifted, their passes found rhythm, and Inter were forced to retreat. From that moment on, Yamal became the nucleus of Barcelona's attack alongside Pedri. He dropped into midfield to create overloads, drifted wide to stretch Inter's back 5, and constantly pulled Di Marco and Bastoni out of shape with diagonal movement. His touch map shows him popping up in every creative zone. If luck was by his side, and those 2 shots went in instead of hitting woodwork, then he could have been the youngest hat-trick scorer in the Champions League Semi-Final. Let's quote the words of Simone Inzaghi to sum up his magic that night.
Ci ha creato tanti problemi Yamal, che chiaramente è un talento che nascono ogni 50 anni, dei talenti così non l'avevo mai visto dal vero, l'ho visto stasera per la prima volta e ci ha creato problemi, l'abbiamo raddoppiato, triplicato, poi ci mancavano giocatori da altre parti del campo, poi il secondo tempo abbiamo...
In short, Yamal didn't just play like Barcelona's best attacker that night, he played like a leader. Not with words, but with actions that said, "Give me the ball, I'll fix this." But why can't managers stop him? Are Messi comparisons too soon? Managers across Europe have tried just about everything. We saw them doubling up on him, forcing him onto his right foot, isolating him from the build-up. None of it works consistently. Why? Because Lamine Yamal doesn't rely on one method. As we said earlier, he isn't an AI-generated winger. He reads the defense and adjusts his tone accordingly. In most matches, coaches assign an extra man to shadow him. But the problem with that is Lamine doesn't stay static. He drifts from touchline to half space, from wide to inverted places, and that constant repositioning forces errors in the communication of defenders. One delay, one misread, and Yamal slips through. His ability to move without the ball is as dangerous as his ability dribbling. Against rigid systems, he thrives tactically. In low blocks, he stretches the field and creates width. Against high pressures, he acts as a relief valve, helping Barcelona escape tight zones through quick layoffs and diagonal progressions. What's even deadlier? His timing. He doesn't release the ball too early or too late. It's always in rhythm with the team's vertical progression. So, why can't managers stop him? Because he's not a move-based player, he's a decision-making one. You can train to stop patterns, but how do you prepare for someone who makes the right decisions 95% of the time under pressure? To stop Yamal, you'd have to stop the tempo of Hansi Flick's team, which has more creators in the form of Pedri, Olmo, Kubasi, Inigo, Martinez, and Frankie de Jong. The whole system helps each other, and that's how paradoxical everything is for the opponents of Barca. This is where the Messi comparisons start to creep in. On paper, it feels too soon. Messi's legacy is anchored with trophies, decade-long dominance, out-of-this-world goals, and untouched consistency. Lamine, he's still very early in his journey, but the similarities lie in the fundamentals. He is lightning fast in processing, scores bangers, draws out, and dribbles past multiple defenders. On top of everything, the kid has a great blend of humility and confidence. What sets them both apart is clarity under chaos. When everything collapses around them in the form of pressing defenders, roaring crowds, and tactical shifts, their decision-making doesn't go on buffering. Deciding the right thing is not teachable in football. That's rare. So yes, the Messi comparisons may be premature, but dismissing them outright, it misses the point. We're not saying Yamal is Messi, we're saying the pattern of greatness is emerging again in real time. Lamine Yamal didn't just fill a void in Barcelona, he redefined it. In 2 seasons, he's gone from academy wonderkid to Barcelona's most trusted game changer. Records are falling and managers are scrambling. The Messi-shaped shadow over Camp Nou is no longer a burden. It's a challenge Lamine seems destined to pass in his own way, one jaw-dropping performance at a time.